I know, with the login.
But I can get it out.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. Welcome to the November 26, 2018 meeting for the Shawnee County Board of Commissioners. My name is Kevin Cook. I serve as the chair. Joining me this morning is Commissioner Shelley Bueller. Good morning. Commissioner Bob Archer. Good morning.
Good morning.
Glad to see that everybody made it back. The lighting ceremony went off without hitch,
Yes,
and congratulations and good job.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, our first item.
Item 1, proclamations, presentations, update and general report on Vallejo. Bill Persinger, CEO.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Thank goodness we got here. I don't see anybody with sprained body parts.
Yes.
Bill, where I get to more, I think about slipping and falling, and I realize that gravity gets a vote every time. I am Bill Persinger, CEO at Vallejo. This next month will mark this month marks 3 years, and what an honor and a privilege, and again, another opportunity this quarter to say we wouldn't be here without you. Thank you very, very much, and we want to keep moving forward. So our October 31 financial statements are attached. We will have a 12/31 statement for you probably right after the first of the year, but if in the meantime you need any updates, let me know. And we did excerpt the net income report, and we remain ahead by about 11 days operations so far. We think maybe by 12/31 that may dwindle down to 6 or 8, but it's going to be nice to have a margin for a change and to reinvest in our center and our employees. But the financial statements that the two again. Kingpin kind of building blocks of our budget would be, our grant funding for the uninsured, which comes from you folks and the state. We have garnered something like $700,000 in new state grant funds. We hope that will continue. There's an item here in my report that refers to that. We'll keep you posted. And then Medicaid is holding up pretty strong for us. Those are the two building blocks. And so goes the grants, so goes Medicaid, so goes the mental health center, and so things are on the up, and that's a great thing. Currently in discussions with KDADS about the hopeful continuation of our crisis grant. That's the $700,000 grant this year that's made all the difference in our crisis, our 24-hour-a-day crisis program. That program alone costs $73,000 a month to operate for the uninsured. It's open 24 hours a day, and took some chocolate down to the staff yesterday in the blizzard just so they could feel a little warmth, but there were 8 or 9 people there, and that place is just open all the time thanks to you folks in the state of Kansas. Fundraising is going off pretty well. I don't have a final number on our 2018 fundraiser, but we think we're about 25 or 30% higher for gross than last year, so somewhere probably over $80,000. Before I go any farther, I've been remiss not to introduce Dick Klein, and serves on our governing board and serves well and faithfully. So we also had a $9,000 fundraiser at the White Linen. We were presented with a check a week ago by Chef Adam and Casey. What a great gift. And so we've just been pretty fortunate in our fundraising, and a lot of hard work going on there. I'll just ask you to take a look at your leisure at the list of collaborations there. It's not an exhaustive list, but we do want you to know that we're at the table and plugged in with other agencies and doing what we can to move forward. And we also are we'll be participating in an effort here in Shawnee County, a program to end childhood homelessness. That is a multi-agency group that's developing. Had a great meeting with our CDDO director, Sabrina, to continue to coordinate care between people who have dual diagnosis. And also want to acknowledge that we're working with Breakthrough House to collaborate and coordinate on probably a new kind of day treatment, if you will, structured activities for adults with mental illness to learn about finance, finding a job, place to live, family relationships, social relationships, health care, all those topics that they need to know about. So we are collaborating with Breakthrough House. We've got 2 the two boards have come together to meet about that, representatives of the board, Lynn Davis and I and other staff. In fact, Dick Klein is representing the Vallejo board and has been to Wichita to receive special training for 2 or 3 days. Dick, do you want to say anything about that collaboration? Feel free.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So we are looking for every opportunity we can to coordinate and collaborate and consolidate where need be. Continue to work with the KDAD's Mental Health Task Force, was appointed by Senator Hensley earlier this year. We've met about a dozen times, got 3 or 4 or 5 more meetings coming. Been a preliminary report out that's already been reported to the Legislative Budget Committee. Lots of things are addressed in there about adults and children that have mental illness and their families. I'll be making a brief presentation on December 5 to the Shawnee County Legislative Delegation about mental health and addictions. And we're looking forward to 2019. We hope that we can sustain our gains with the legislature in terms of grant funds, maybe even get those restored. Another $2.5–3 million statewide would get the mental health centers back to their state grant levels for 2006. So we're hoping to at least be made whole with 2006 and maybe some inflation over the years, we'll see. Also hopeful about Medicaid expansion. We continue to hope for that. That would bring in, gosh, you know, a real thumbnail sketch would be maybe another $600,000 or $700,000 a year just for doing what we're doing now. It would really bolster that kind of pillars that we operate on. So the financial statements are there. I'll conclude my reports, and thank you for your time.
Well, thank you for everything you do in the community and keeping things above board and
Thanks, sir.
Going well this year. I might note that last Monday we did approve the contract with the Department of Corrections, the Topeka Fire, Topeka Police, Shawnee County Sheriff, and Vallejo for the crisis officer. That's a good addition to our community toolbox. And so, Commissioners, any comments?
We were
for
honored.
Mr.
Thank you.
No.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you, Bill.
Take care.
Thank you.
Our next item.
Item 3, consent agenda.
There are 10 items on the consent agenda. Are there any questions?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item 4, new business A, County Clerk number 1, consider all voucher payments.
There are no voucher payments that
Oh.
I'm aware of.
There are no
Okay.
vou-
You
there are
scared
no
me for
voucher
a
payments.
minute.
I am so sorry. No, there are no voucher payments because we weren't here. Is it the Monday after Thanksgiving?
It is.
And I had to leave my grandkids at my house because they couldn't, anyway. It's a wonderful weekend, but you don't, when that 6-month-old snuggles you in your neck, right as you're walking out the door, and you know you're not going to see him for like 3 weeks. Grandma gets a little bit teary-eyed. So, let's go. We do have correction orders, though.
Okay. I'll move approval.
Approval of correction orders by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item B, District Court number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C-381-2018 with court-appointed special advocates, CASA, to provide services to the residents of Shawnee County at a total cost of $54,900 that is allocated through the court administration budget.
Good morning. I'm Evelyn Wilson. I'm Chief Judge of the District Court of Shawnee County, Kansas. The first item is Contract C-381-2018. This is a pass-through budget we do as a courtesy for CASA for their budget, and so we would ask that you approve this contract agreement for the calendar year 2019. It is $54,900, the same as the amount in 2018. Payments are made to CASA on a quarterly basis of $13,725 and are allocated through our budget with your approval. Would ask for approval.
Any questions for Judge Wilson regarding CASA, Commissioner Archer?
Yeah, for the uninitiated, what does CASA do for Shawnee County and the judicial system?
CASA is an acronym that stands for Court-Appointed Special Advocates, and they are lay people who are trained by CASA as an organization, and they represent, as lay people, primarily children, as an advocate for their interests, whatever they might be. And so if a judge feels that a CASA would be helpful in a particular case, then they appoint a CASA representative to represent a particular child. Many times they're used in child in need of care cases, to have that person as an extra resource and person that child can talk to and relate to, who can gather information about the home, about school, parents, what's going on in the child's living situation, and so that CASA can not only be an extra level of comfort for the child, but also an extra resource of information for the judge as well. And CASA advocates are also appointed in some domestic cases where that is a situation where the judge believes that extra resource, that extra level of comfort and care to the child would be extremely important in those particular cases.
How many clients would we have that utilize CASA during the year?
You know, I'm not sure what the answer to that question is, but I would be happy to get that. Many, often there is a representative of CASA every time a child in need of care case or bunch of cases are called. There's someone there so that representative can get someone assigned right away. Okay. And it just depends on how many CASA persons are available, because I think it's a resource that's used very often by the judges. I'm sorry, I don't know the answer.
Well, that's okay, but you know I'm big on numbers.
Right.
And I like to see trends in basic numbers of any program that we work on. So I'd appreciate
okay, I will get that.
Information on it.
All right, I will.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Bueller, any questions?
No. I move
CASA
approval of the contract.
Okay. I'll second. CASA is a great program. It does oftentimes cut through the legalese when attorneys get involved and they view it very legalistic, and the CASA, being a layperson, can look at it just as a regular individual and cut through a lot of the red tape, and so getting to the bottom of what's in the best interest of the child. And so, motion made by Commissioner Bueller, second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor of say aye. All opposed. Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item B2, consider approval of request to purchase furniture from BA Designs for courtrooms at a cost of $158,693 with funding from the court's 2018 budget.
Evelyn Wilson, Chief Judge of the District Court of Shawnee County, Kansas. We have been trying to work hard on our cyclical maintenance program, and we are continuing with that process in implementing cyclical maintenance. As part of the plan, we wish to replace old furniture that are in our courtrooms, and there is an attachment that is part of the handout. We have had some furniture replaced for 3 of our divisions, which leave Division 1, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 22 needing furniture. And much of this furniture is very, very old, and we've used it for a long time. I personally have double-checked in each of these divisions to see what the furniture looks like now. I have furniture at home that I have had refinished, but unfortunately, in today's culture and climate, sometimes it's twice as expensive to refinish furniture that you've got, even if it's something that is of a quality that could be refinished. It's less expensive to replace it. And so all of this furniture needs to be replaced, has not been replaced in decades, and it's something that we believe now at the end of the year, when we're looking at our budget and where we are, because there are some things that we can't control, like how many juries that we have to pay for and what the size of those juries might be, which may be determined by the type of case. If it's an extremely difficult case or one that is well publicized, then you may need lots and lots of jurors, and of course we have to pay for that. But now, looking at our budget at the end of the year, we believe that we can afford to do this. It is clearly a need that exists for the courts, and we believe we can afford it at this time, and so we would request favorable consideration of our request.
Any questions for Judge Wilson regarding the furniture? Commissioner
Is
Arkin?
this spread out over a number of courtrooms or just in?
Oh, yes. Yes, all of those divisions that I read would get furniture. Some of them are jury courtrooms, some not. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of them are jury courtrooms, so they need jury chairs. We're also looking at counsel tables, counsel seating, and that would include seating for the court reporter and the witness as well.
Thank you very much, Judge. I'll move to approve.
Second.
And I might note that Judge Wilson, you and I spoke before putting this item on the agenda about the amount of money that the Shawnee County has been reinvesting into the deferred maintenance for the courtrooms and for the furniture. I hope that we're able to get us to a spot where we're maybe just maintaining as opposed to playing catch-up. And so I'm glad that we're getting some good headway made, but hopefully we'll get to a spot where we've accomplished that and just maybe replacing things as needed. So,
I look forward to that.
motion made for approval and second. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item C, Human Resources, number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C-382-2018, master contract with the Teamsters Local Union 696 for calendar years 2018, 2019, and 2020, and contract C-383-2018 through C-387-2018, addendums to the master contract for clerical employees, correction employees, health department employees, health professionals and support, parks employees, and public works employees.
Good morning, Commissioners. Angela Lewis with Human Resources. I'd first like to thank the Teamsters and all of the elected officials and department heads who worked very hard to get this contract to close today. I'd like to hit some of the highlights of the contract for you. I have provided everyone with a summary of key changes. That way we don't go over everything, but just hit the highlights. The previous contract was a 2-year contract for 2016 and 2017. This is a 3-year contract that covered 2018, 19, and 2020. There's wage increases, a 1% cost of living, and an approximate 2% for each step, which would give them 3% for each of the 3 years in question. There were no major changes to the clerical addendum other than what is listed on your summary, but I would like to highlight the corrections addendum. Corrections created a career path for corrections specialists with the addition of a correction specialist 2 and a reclassification of their lead correction specialist to a correction specialist 3. They also changed their maintenance employees to be on the scale with courthouse maintenance employees. They made a field training officer receive 50 more cents an hour, and a second shift supervisor receive 50 more cents an hour. The other significant change came in the health professionals and support. They were previously 2 separate addendums, and we've combined them into 1. I'd be happy to answer any questions with regard to the contract.
Angela, this does cover, as you indicated, clerical, Department of Corrections, Health, the Public Works Department, and Parks and Recreation. Do you know have an amount of the approximate number of employees that this covers? Or, I mean, it seems like this would cover the vast majority of our...
It really does. I don't have an exact number, but I would say well over 300 of our employees.
Okay. And then this is not a retroactive agreement. This is from this date moving forward.
This is for 2018, 2019, and 2020, and so these changes are, they were effective, I want to say January 1st, 2018. Is that correct, Jim?
For the wage.
The wage portion.
Okay.
Yes. So everyone received their 3% in June when we changed them.
Okay. And then this is, the Teamsters have voted on this, and this has been approved by the union representatives.
Yes, they have. Mike Scribner had hoped to be with us today to give his approval as well. He did sign all of the contracts.
Commissioners, any questions?
I appreciate the summary. Thank you for doing this. It's helpful.
Commissioner Archer, any questions?
Yeah, I appreciate the summary, too. I noticed there were a number of changes in corrections.
Yes.
And corrections has always been an area where we've had significant turnover. What do these do specifically to address turnover in corrections, or do they do anything to address turnover?
They do. Come on up, Brian. There is a career path set here, but I'll let Brian address that.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Cole, Shawnee County Department of Corrections. One of the goals that we worked with Angela and the Teamsters this year, and closely with Jim Crowell and Betty Greiner as well, was creating a career path for retention. It isn't as much, we're not having problems getting people in the door, it's retaining. A lot of people that we're looking to some of our colleagues and how they're able to retain locally and in Midwest, and a lot of them have gone to certain areas of having a career path after certain many years, that they're recognized and that they're seeing incentives for staying longer, longevity. That's one of the things that we try to put in here. We are getting people in the door. We're hoping that some shift differential to some of those shifts that are unappealing to staff, that will help us to retain staff, and we're hoping the career path will both, those two angles alone, we're hoping that will help retain. So that was the main focus. Certainly wasn't going in here. We'd love to be able to give as much money as we can to staff, but we know that it isn't about money. We want to be able to have a plan that keeps staff here. So that was more, the major focus was for retention. And I think that with the help of the union and Angela, Jim, and Betty, I think this was a very good plan and something we worked months on.
Other questions? Is there a motion to approve the contract?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Angela. Our next item.
Item D, corrections, number 1, capital outlay, and $24,178 from contingency.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Cole, Shawnee County Department of Corrections. After the board gave us permission to send out specifications and to go out for bids, we were able to get our bids back working with audit, finance, and purchasing to be able to accept bids. We did have, I believe, 4. I want to make sure that's right. Yes, we had 4 bids that came in. All of them were responsible bids. We did choose and go with Samco, who was we felt was the most responsible and the lowest bid. We have worked with Samco on other projects. We are very happy. We had several eyes on this as we're going through, but this is something at the annex that we need to look at for a dedicated outdoor air system. We worked with Betty Greiner and Administrative Services very closely on the finances of this. This was something, as we're getting closer and looking at our budgets and working with Betty, that we were both looking for a suggestion of capital outlay of $24,178 and then contingency, or excuse me, that would be contingency, and the 66 would come from capital outlay. I'm sorry. We both thought that that would be an appropriate there, but obviously we need to come before the commission for approval. And that this is for the physical plant and the maintenance and to keep us going that way. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for Director Cole?
No, I do not. I'll move approval.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0.
Thank you very much.
Our next item.
Item E, emergency management, number 1, consider approval of request to accept the Federal Emergency Management Performance Grant in the amount of approximately $93,000 that provides the salary and benefits to employ the planning section chief, Homeland Security Risk Assessor, and logistics section chief positions.
Good morning, Commissioners. Dusty Nichols, Emergency Management. This is the grant we put in for many years in the past and continue to apply for and receive. So that's on the agenda.
Any questions for Dusty regarding the grant?
No, I'll move for approval.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item E2, consider approval of request to accept a FEMA and Kansas Division of Emergency Management Hazardous Mitigation Grant Program Award of $11,952 with a matching requirement from the county of $3,984 for the purchase of all hazard NOAA weather radios to be sold to the residents of Shawnee County at a discounted rate that will cover the matching requirement.
Good morning, Commissioners. Dusty Nichols again. This is pretty self-explanatory. We've had this grant in the past. I believe it was 2014. 13, 14, somewhere in there, where we received these radios through FEMA, through the grant dollars, and sold them at a very low rate to personnel in our jurisdiction. And there are some rules to this where they have to live in Shawnee County. So we do by address, and we track all that stuff. And so that's what this grant is for.
Any questions regarding this item? I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item E3, consider approval of request to replace a non-functioning UHF subnet repeater, number 3, at a cost of $2,920 with the funding from the 2018 Capital Outlay Fund.
Dusty Nichols again. This is on the capital outlay program that we started a couple of years ago under the subnet, what we call the subnet. It's utilizing all the previous radios that we had that were being discontinued and turned in, and revitalizing those radios and that system to be used for volunteers to keep them off the radio nets where first responders usually try to get in there. So this particular repeater is non-functional. It just couldn't be fixed, and so this is to replace that. We are still under budget for that project, and it's almost the same thing as the next item as well.
Any questions regarding this item?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item E4, consider approval of request to purchase a UHF subnet repeater, number 4, at a cost of $2,718.50 from the 2018 Capital Outlay Fund.
Dusty Nichols again. This is the repeater that's, according to that project, that it will go on one of our sirens versus one of the radio towers as part of that subnet program.
I'll move approval.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Justin. Our next item.
Item F, Public Works Solid Waste. Number 1, consider approval of change order number 1 for the Southwest Union, West Union Road over tributary to Mission Creek culvert replacement project, reflecting actual quantities resulting in a decrease of $6,642.20 with a total contract sum of $152,293.05 with funding from the Special Bridge Fund.
Morning, Commissioners. Courtney House, Director of Public Works and Solid Waste. This is basically just an end-of-project change order that saves the county a little bit of money, and I'm here for questions if you have any.
Any questions regarding this item?
Move to approve the change order.
Second.
Motion to approve the change order by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item F2, consider approval of change order number 1 for the Southeast California Avenue over tributary to Wakarusa, 0.47 miles north of now Southeast 93rd Street culvert replacement project, reflecting actual quantities, resulting in a decrease of $4,479 with a total contract sum of $167,371.70 with funding from the Special Bridge Fund.
Courtney House, Director of Public Works and Solid Waste again. Same issue, different project.
Any questions? Commissioner Archer?
And Kurt, these are issues where materials cost a lot less than projected when we,
It's not a change in cost, it's a change in quantities.
okay,
So,
all right. Very good. I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item F3, consider approval of change order number 1 for the Southeast California Avenue over tributary to Wakarusa, 0.2 miles south of Southeast 85th Street culvert replacement project, reflecting actual quantities, resulting in a decrease of $3,364 with a total contract sum of $127,195.55 with funding from the Special Budget.
Courtney House again. This is a third project, again, kind of a final change order for the project, results in a project reduction.
Any questions regarding this? I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, Passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Our next item.
Item G, Information Technology. Number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C 388-2018 with Kansas Fiber Network LLC to provide an additional 1 gigabyte SEC connection to the internet at a cost of $1,548 per month for 5 years with funding from the 2019 technology budget.
Good morning, Commissioners. Pat Oblander with the Information Technology Department. On October 22nd of this year, the Commission approved the IT Department to negotiate with Kansas Fiber Network to provision an internet connection for the county that would be of 1 gigabit per second, which would be a tremendous improvement over the one that we currently have. We've had a long history of delays over the internet with our current connection. We did try to increase the capacity on that one, but the provider said that we were maxed out through their services. So we had to go to another direction to find a better service. We did go ahead and negotiate an agreement with Kansas Fiber Network. I would like to throw a couple of kudos out to Jonathan Berzon of the Counselor's Office, who was very, very helpful in negotiating the agreement with Kansas Fiber Network. We got all the terms and conditions set up the way that we would like them to be for the county. And it was done in a very quick period of time, too. I'd like to throw that out there. So we are to the point where we have an agreement that has been crafted. It does contain 2 options. One is a 3-year option, and one is a 5-year option. I would like to recommend that we go with the 5-year option due to the amount of work that goes into creating this connection, getting it brought into the premises, getting it provisioned, and migrating over all of the, or not all, but many of the business processes that we're currently doing through the old connection over to the new one. This is a very complicated process, and it takes many months, if not years, to get that accomplished. And I would hate to have all of that work completed just to turn around and try to renegotiate the contract. So in addition to the amount of work that's involved in getting it set up, there is a significant savings over the course of 5 years if we do go with the 5-year option. The 3-year option would be $2,023 per month for the service. The 5-year option would be $1,548 per month for the service, which is a savings of about $475 per month, which is significant. That is money that we could put towards the additional security features that we do want to add to this circuit through other providers. So with that all in mind, I stand for any questions that you might have.
Any questions for Pat regarding this item? Commissioner Archer.
Will employees countywide be able to see a difference after this is implemented?
Yes, unequivocally, yes. Yeah, there's a lot of times that people will navigate to a website
Right.
and you'll experience long pauses, or you'll get an error message that says service not available. We'll also have a lot better service through people that have systems that are accessing computers in the outside world, like the mover system in the motor vehicles office. They regularly experience what we call kickoffs. Their machines will time out and basically get logged off of the remote service. Many of those problems will be resolved by having that faster connection speed. So yes, there will be noticeable improvements in connection speed for everybody.
So the efficiency of going to the broadband, quicker broadband will more than pay for itself.
Absolutely.
Okay.
No question.
Okay, good deal. I'll move to approve the contract.
Second.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Thank you, Pat.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Our next item.
Item H, Health Department. Number 1, consider approval to fill a vacant registered nurse position in clinical services at a salary including benefits of $66,156, and to fill any position that becomes vacant as a result of filling this position.
Good morning, Commissioners. Linda Oaks from the Health Department. This position has been vacant since August. We had a nurse retire, and honestly, I want to take a look into whether we could do without this position, if we could still provide the best customer service. And we're finding that we do need this position. Just for an example, by this time last year, we'd given 600 flu shots. This year, we've given 1,000 to date. So we're definitely seeing more business in that area. We've gotten the opportunity to get state vaccine and do some free flu clinics. There's another one coming up next week. We were able to go to the Mission, and we hope we can go again. And so because we're doing more outreach, we're seeing the need for this position. This will also be the first nurse that we hire into the clinic that will be cross-trained in both the STD clinic, the communicable disease program, and immunizations. And we do have, the funds are in our 2018 and 2019 budgets, and we've discussed it with HR. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Linda regarding this item? Commissioner Archer?
But this is just not a seasonal position that does flu shots.
No.
Can you explain that a little bit better?
That was just an example of how
Okay.
busier we are. We were busier back to school. We're going to be doing some maybe other services, more outreach to more areas. For example, we gave Tdap shots at the baby shower, the community baby shower. So more of those kind of activities that do go all year. And so that is why I feel like just those outreach activities, we're going to where people are, and I think that's a better service.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that
Sure.
the public understood that this will be a fully utilized employee.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And this was an item that you had waited to make sure that it was needed, and you went through and determined that it was a needed position.
That is correct. It's been open since August.
Any other questions?
Move approval.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item H2, consider approval of request to create and fill a health information management system specialist in the Finance and Administrative Division at a salary including benefits of $54,674, and to fill any position that becomes vacant as a result of filling this position.
Good morning, Commissioners. Linda Oaks from the Health Department again. This position has actually not been filled for over 2 years. When we split from the Community Health Center, we didn't feel like we really needed a full-time medical records person. We had someone who had a bachelor's degree and had that level of licensure. As we've gone through the years, we've had one of our accountants, Nancy Mitchell, cover our HIPAA privacy officer. And just to remind you, it's Health Information Portability and Accountability Act. And that is a very important position. If we have breaches in HIPAA, we can have huge fines. And so she's done a great job of covering it. We have incidents that happen over the years, and she does the investigation. She's done a great job, but she has taken on more responsibilities, especially with accreditation, quality improvement, and we just feel like we need someone in this position. So we had an office assistant to retire. We spoke with the union, so we're eliminating that position. This person, we're going to look for someone that probably has more like an associate's degree. I don't feel like we need the same level of licensure and certification, but we do need someone with some experience and some expertise in this area. And we did talk a couple of years ago to the county counselor's office about could this be contracted. And they felt like because we're dealing with such sensitive and confidential information that we should have someone on staff. So that is why we're coming to you today and asking you to fill this. We spent some time with HR, and I do want to give a shout out to Angela and her staff. They've been very helpful when we've been doing all the shifting over the year I've done with several positions, so thank you to her too. So we came to the conclusion that we really probably do need someone with this expertise on our staff, and so I'm asking to have this filled today, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions regarding this item?
Move to approve.
A second.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Our next item.
Item I, Parks and Recreation, number 1, consider approval of a U.S. Army Corps of Engineers application with regard to a Department of Army permit required to proceed with the design engineering services required to assess needed repairs to the bridge on the Landon Trail.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Boyd, Parks and Recreation. We're asking for your approval to have PCBR representative in discussions with the Corps of Engineers to do some possible repairs on a bridge abutment that has been scoured out by water movement on the Landon Trail.
Questions regarding this item? I'll move for approval.
I'll second.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0.
Thank
Our
you.
next item. Thank you.
Item I2, consider authorization and execution of contract C-389-2018 with CBS Manhattan LLC, CBS Integration, to continue monitoring services of facility alarm systems on a month-to-month basis with a monthly service fee of $22.99 for wireless and $19.99 for landline, for an annual cost of $9,571.32.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mike Cope, Park Police Chief. Again, here in front of you to request the approval of the contract we've had long-standing with CBS to monitor approximately 37 locations to protect our property.
Any questions regarding this item? Mike, how have has this been working for us? I mean, we had a presentation several months ago about a new theft prevention at Wall Diamonds to try and stop the wire thefts. Have these things deferred or deterred the thefts?
We're not having very many thefts or any problems of thefts in our some of our locations that are being alarmed. So it does help out in that matter. Also, if there is a break-in, we get a quicker response because now we have an alarm or somebody monitoring it, telling us, hey, we have a problem, which they'll dispatch out, depending on the location. The park police is who they contact first, but if we do not have anybody on duty, then they reach out to the Sheriff's Department or Topeka PD to respond. But so if we have an event where there is a break-in, et cetera, we get a notification of it and we can at least respond to it and address the situation. We have had a couple break-ins at Central Park, which we have cameras in there, and we've been able to try to identify the person involved and try to bring the charges. So between the camera systems and the alarm systems, it really definitely helps out. One of my goals when we went to the alarm system for Dornwood is to get it in conjunction with this current company so that when there's a power issue at the Dornwood, it would alarm that and we'd have somebody directly monitoring. But between getting the two companies together, they said there was no way to be able to connect them two together. But our goal was to try to cut costs, et cetera, on that by doing so. But unfortunately, we weren't able to. So we have a separate contract with the electrical monitoring company than we do with CBS. So.
Okay. Any other questions? Commissioner Archer?
Well, I was just going to say, I think what Commissioner Cook wants to know is what are the results of implementing these monitoring? You know, if we have break-ins or whatever it happens to be, that it's documented, and then we know how effective these actually are. Is that correct,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook?
Okay, sorry.
That we ought to be looking at levels and trends and comparisons after we implement this type of technology. So I'd be prepared to show us, hey, this was a good deal, and this is why we did it.
Well, I can say that we have had reductions in theft, especially when we have signs out there saying it's monitored. You know, a lot of times that's a deterrent. The fact that there's a sign out there on the doors that they may go entering into, that this is monitored and somebody's going to be alerted of the situation. We've also integrated some of our air conditioning units into this same alarm system too, so that in the event somebody goes to steal the air conditioning unit, an alarm is set out, a deterrent, sirens are put off, so a lot of times we'll deter them and make the suspects flee the scene and leave our stuff intact. So we try to integrate several different security issues into place so that we're protecting lots of items in our process.
And I know anecdotal information like that is really good, but if we could see a chart that looks at trends and data, I think that's important.
Yeah, and that is a hard thing to bring forward, because if you're not having thefts, is it because of the signs out there that we have alarms, or what is the other motive of why we're not having thefts or break-ins?
Well, you take action and consequences happen.
Right, exactly.
So you have to assume that the variables are lining up to where it reduces
right.
that. But, you know, I think we need to be more quantitative driven when we spend money on opportunities like this to say, this is the result we're getting from the money that we're investing.
Exactly.
Okay?
And like I said, it appears that our thefts have gone down based on the alarm systems. And again, a lot of it is based on the fact that they see signage and that they are aware that it is alarmed. And then again, with a quick response, our attempt is to catch them in the act and prosecute.
Well, and I think that's good because we have such a sordid history of losing assets from Shawnee County. And it just irritates, I know, us to death.
Yes,
So
me too.
that's why we need quantitative data to show that these investments in security are paying off. Okay? Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Just a follow-up, Mike. It's a month-to-month contract.
Yes.
So my question would be, why the month-to-month, and when was the last time we went out for bid?
It was 3 years ago we went out to bid. We went out
Okay.
for RFP on that. CBS was awarded the contract again at that time.
Okay.
The month-to-month was actually recommended by Jonathan Brazon.
Okay.
That's how that came about. The company themselves prefers a month-to-month. When we started this contract, just about 7 years ago, when I first took over, that's the way it was. Our indication was that the county commission wanted a 3-year contract, but as far as they were concerned, if you weren't happy with their services, all we have to do is call them, give them 30 days notice, and we'd be able to end it. What this is actually going to do is lock in these prices for 3 years, but our contract will be month to month. If we need to back out, then that's what our option is, and we can do that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, unfortunately, Mike from CBS wasn't able to attend the meeting, but he was going to be able to be here to explain it. But
Okay.
kids, take care of kids because of bad weather. He's not going to be able to make it, so.
Okay, thank you.
Excuse me, Randy Luby with Parks and Rec. I do want to add a little bit on that month-to-month. We are planning on going out for bid in the near future on all of the services from CBS, but this time we're just doing month-to-month, and they were able to keep that price the same as what we've had for the last 6 years, so thank you.
Thank
Any
you,
other
Randy.
questions? I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item I3, consider approval of a project budget totaling $386,250 excess reserves funding to be used for a pump replacement and engineering services for the recirculation pump that pumps lake water into the cove and pushes the water out to the new harbor opening, creating a continual movement of water.
Good morning, Commissioner. Sean Osborne, Parks and Recreation. Before we get to that item, I do have a small presentation.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
This item is, and the presentation is over the Adventure Cove. The first slide that I have, if you remember, just to take you back, kind of back in 2018, as we were preparing, this is kind of what this is what the beach was looking like after a year of nobody being there and everything. And we basically, this is an aerial shot that we took of the Adventure Cove. Basically, in the top is 29th Street, and Croco is over here to the east, just to give you some bearings. The Phase 1 and 2, as you can see, is highlighted in blue, and that's what we're looking at as for the Adventure Cove area right now. In the bottom corner, down in here, this is where the entrance was taken out for the harbor part. And the top portion where number 2 is right up in here, and I'll go back, there's another slide. This is where we're looking at putting the water refresh pump to replace the other one that was there with the beach. I don't know why that one didn't. There we go. The new Adventure Cove entrance I've shown this slide to you guys before. Basically, this took place in the end of March, and this is where we took part of that permeable dam out for the boats to come in and out. And then the new adventure stuff that we had, as you can see, we had the trikes, the other paddle boats that we bought, which were more themed this year. We had no swimming this past year. We did bring in the paddle boards, the kayaks, and canoes and different things which proved to be a vital part to the Adventure Cove. The kayaks and the paddle boards went over very well. We did put in a nationwide sample of aquatic rentals, and this kind of gave us our price that we came to of what we wanted to charge at the Adventure Cove in 2018. And then the boat rentals, this was the slide that I think Commissioner Bueller wanted to see towards the end. This was in the 25-day period that we had. You can see down at the bottom which boat actually, it was the Mark Twain boat and the trikes that were pretty much, we wanted to get the gondolas, but they had a storm that broke their mold that makes those, so we ended up going a different route and making a change to that. That was something that was unforeseen on our part and for them as well. Total daily revenue and rentals, we broke this down by weekly revenue, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all the way through. As you can see, our best days were usually Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, which is the weekend time. Monday, the reason why that number is a little high is just because of that. That includes Labor Day on Monday when a lot of people came out. And then our hourly boat rentals, we kept track of everything that was rented throughout each day, what time frame and everything, so that we had a better idea of going into the future of what our time and opening would be. From this slide, you can see that 10 a.m. to basically 6 p.m. we did really well. Obviously, you know, from noon all the way to 4 o'clock, we have a ton of people that come out and want to be out at the lake during this time. Yearly revenue. Basically, our operation is around 90 days when we had the marina. The marina back in 2015, we were around 13,768. As you can see, in 2016, we went to 14,954. And in 2017 was really kind of a banner year for Parks and Recreation because weather was really good that early spring and into summer. But as you can see, we were operating at 26 days in 2018, and we brought $17,855 in that amount of time. And then the equivalent revenue periods, this slide breaks down remaining season earnings. As you can see in the 25-day period for 2015, we brought in $4,239. In 16 was $4,593, and in 2017 we brought in $5,414. But in 2018, once again, in that remaining time, we brought in $17,855. Some of the things that we're currently funded activities is the storm water control. That's under design. It's just the design portion, and the aquatic rental storage building is under design, and the lake water refresh pump station is under design as well. Upcoming activities that we would like to be able to do is the storm water, but obviously we would go out for bid. Same thing goes for the aquatic rental storage building, and the lake water refresh pump station would go out for bid as well. And the construction and completion target would be around 2019 in the summer. We just don't have a real concrete date of what that would be. Obviously, nobody thought that the weather would be the way it was today, so we can't predict how it will be in the spring as well. This is another view of looking down at the cove. In the upper corner is the lake water pumping station, and then you have in this section right here, this is the storm water runoff portion as well. And then in the orange portion is the aquatic rental building. which is something where that would be where we would house the boats and different things in the wintertime. And that would also serve as a purpose for places, for people in the summer, they would be able to, we would have chairs and tables in there to get out of the sun and things. Oh, sorry, I forgot that it had popped up. There's also there's a floating playground that we're looking at, but obviously we know we need to, we're looking into different styles, but that would also have to come back down for you guys for approval and different things. The storm water improvement, which I had said, part of that is because every time that we get huge rains in the spring or even in the fall, there's such a slope in that area that it just takes most of the beach and it just runs right back in. The water quality improvement that we're looking at for the refresh, the outside blue line that runs all the way across, this is the old portion of the beach that took place. This item right here, this is a spray feature. This connected over here, and that connected to our slides that we used to have, which actually did circulate in that area. But what we're looking at is a different type of pump feature that would bring water in from the lake and push water gently out through the opening, and basically it would refresh that water. Because right now, the old way, it was pretty stagnant in there, and this way, this would be a continual flow. Obviously, that would be controlled on us. It would be a switch that we could push, and then we'd have a gentle flow that would come in and out of the new Adventure Cove. Something that we're looking at in the future, this is just one item. Obviously, this is, people have probably seen these in the lower 48s and South Florida and different things, but we're looking at putting something like this at the swim, or at the Adventure Cove area. And obviously, this can be modified and changed, and there's different groups out there that have different ones as well. So I'd be happy to stand for any questions that you might have on the Adventure Cove and the item that is before you with the water-free refresh pump.
Questions? Commissioner Archer? Would you go back, Sean, to the components that we were looking at?
This one here or further
No,
back?
go back.
Okay.
Go back. Yeah, those.
Uh-huh.
What is the cost of each of those components?
Of the currently funded activities under design?
When you say currently funded, what does that mean, and how much is it?
Right now, we're looking at the design portion of the stormwater, which is just the design phase, which is with PEC, is around about, I don't have those numbers with me, but I think it's around $7,800 for the design portion of it.
Okay.
Is that, I think we're, and then the aquatic rental storage building, we're looking at anywhere between 150 to probably about 185,000, somewhere in there, for that design down on the beach for the storage.
That's construction, isn't it?
And that's construction. That's construction portion. The aquatic rental thing is right at about 24,000 for the design portion. I'm sorry.
Okay.
And then the lake water refresh pump station is right at the same amount. It's right at just at 25 to 24,000 for the design portion of it. And then obviously the upcoming activities, this would be going out for bid to get the best price.
So do we have an estimate of the total cost it's going to be?
I do for the lake water refresh pump station. That item, that is the, what Ms. Beck put that.
300 and plus.
Yes, for that portion of it. The other two would go out, we may combine the stormwater control portion and the aquatic rental. We may combine those as one RFP because we may get a better price having one company there to do both those. But the other one is so different compared to those other two, the pump station part of it, which is the water quality.
So do we have a total estimated cost?
For all three of those?
Yes, for
wild guesses at this point, but they're just John Knight's guesses. I would think this lake water refresh pump is in the neighborhood of $350,000, the aquatic building around 125 to 175, and the stormwater control, I don't know yet until we get the design back. When we come back with those, we'll have a similar presentation as to what Sean gave you earlier, showing that it's not just an expenditure of funds, how it's going to increase our revenues and our operating costs as well, too. He showed you that floating playground. We used to have 7 lifeguards at that swimming beach. That facility there with people wearing life jackets probably would be down to 1 or 2 people at a time. So we're trying to find ways to operate more efficiently. When we'd come back down to you guys before with the initial stuff with the Adventure Cove, we didn't want to come right back with the same facility that had been proven that it had been going away. I think you saw the numbers. I know there's some new excitement of a new facility that helped kind of drive some of those numbers up, but we're looking at trying to come up with a business plan that pays for the vast majority, if not all, of the operations in there. The other thing that I might mention on some of this is one of the biggest things that people told us is the reason they quit coming to the Lake Shawnee Swim Beach was the water quality. Our pump had quit working, the one that we did have out there, and we were replacing that one with one. It floats water through, but you won't know that. I mean, it's not going to. It refreshes it slow enough over time that it's not like it'll be a wave coming through there. So that was the number one thing. The people loved the aquatic paddle boats and boards and those type of things that we brought in, but we still have a lot of people wanting to come back and have some kind of swimming component. That's the biggest thing to have this swimming component is this lake water refresh. Did I answer your question?
Well, sort of. We have the currently funded activities, and we have a handle on the cost of those. And we want to spend that money now, but we really don't have a cost for the upcoming activities.
Under design, we've hired, we had in-house services. We went up for an RFP several months ago about an on-call architect and on-call engineering services. We've been working with them to come up with a design that not only a design, but one that we can afford and operate. When those documents come back, we'll have a lot better idea. The rush on this lake water refresh pump is we're really close, but to get this ordered and get this here in time for swimming, we needed to move faster rather than slower to get the pump here so that we might be able to swim in June, July, and August.
Okay. I guess I'm concerned that we don't know what it's going to cost. Do we have a funding source for?
We have a funding source for the pump, which is the 3R deferred maintenance funds that I think it's the excess reserve funds. My bad. I'm sorry.
Okay. So that would take us up to about $2 million of spending the $3 million in excess reserves.
I think we've actually factored that into the 1.8 that we've already have figured.
Okay. 1.8.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we'll have about $1 million left.
Correct.
In the reserves after doing
the lake water refresh. Okay. Now, some of the other things we haven't even asked for yet. We're just still looking at, but those might not fit as well into the excess funds. We may have to find another funding source for those.
Okay, that was my question. Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr.
Water
Chair.
quality was, if you remember, water quality was like our number 2 concern, and this was one of the number 1 concerns in our water quality issues. Plus, you've read the newspaper stories and seen the television things on blue-green algae. We're trying to address those as well, too.
Well, and I understand that, and I understand that we need to address the water quality. What I don't understand is how we're making a leap to going into platforms and additional amenities there without knowing more as far as the cost goes.
And I don't think that's the request that's being made today. The request, if you can advance the slide just a little bit more. There it stops. This is the request today, is to change it from being the fountain and connected spray recirculator to being the fill area and discharge apron. And that's where what our actual cost would be. If it comes back above the 386, we would have to go back to the drawing boards and discuss our funding. If it comes in below, we would then be able to use some of those excess reserves on other projects.
Correct.
But as far as the action today, we're not looking at platforms, we're not looking at the playground, we're not looking at even the aquatic storage unit. It's just the discharge apron and fill area posting.
I thought it was necessary for Sean to present make the presentation that he did earlier, because this has been a big topic. We've been down to Heartland Visioning meetings. We've met with several groups around the community already on this, and I think that at some point in time, they're expecting to start to see some of this stuff. Now, this is not something that we're going to build right off the entire thing. We're kind of moving slowly at this, a little bit at a time as funds become available as we're putting some of this together. The next big step would be to change that water, get that water refreshed in there, which would lead to probably future requests of platforms and some of those type of things, which I would then also come back to you with revenue projections, operating expenses, all of those type of things as well.
But that was my point, was we make the commitment, then we are committed to go to platforms and other amenities in the area.
I think this is something that we've been talking about, looking at the long-range plan since we closed the swim beach 3 years ago, and working towards getting it to be rebranded, with the first step being the paddle boats, the paddle boards, and now going into making the water more palatable for swimming. I guess my question is the safety components. Is this going to be, cordoned off from the swimmers so that they're not going to be worried about getting pulled in and making sure that we have safety to the public?
Yes, the water will actually be taken from the main body of the lake and fed through the in and around the weir that's there. All the suction will be from way out at the lake and from the bottom of the lake. We've done this. We've had a similar one there for many years. Is the engineer behind me? Is he kind of laughing at my explanation?
I think he may have a little bit different idea of how it actually engineering works.
We don't suck water from the middle of the lake?
You're doing fine.
And then the actual, is this going to clear up a lot of the issues of the stagnant water, the algae growth? I mean, algae growth is what I heard most of. I mean, outside of the water being stagnant, was the algae and the concern with just, overall.
Was that from when I fell off the paddleboard? Because yes, that was a concern of mine. That
Yes.
But if I'd have had a life jacket on, I probably would have been better off. But yes, that is the intent of that. There'll be other measures we have to take too. One of the things, and it would probably be just an in-house project that we'd be looking at, is to begin to dredge out some of that area so we could have a good idea of what the depths are before we ever move to any other type activity.
How long has it been since that area was actually dredged?
I would say it's probably been 8 to 10 years. And what we usually do is get with Public Works and get the biggest excavator we can find and reach out as far as we can. We haven't really, what I would say, dredged since I've been here.
I mean, if Sean is talking about the swim beach being affected by the storm water runoff, just how much of that area is being silted in? What is our area?
We've done some, and that's part of the design. We have had them look at what we needed to do there, and I don't think it's a significant amount, but I do think there is some dredging that needs to be done. That was part of some of the preliminary work that we did 6-8 months ago.
I don't have any further questions. I think the time is now, though, to get in and do those improvements before we add additional amenities.
Part of the rush with the pump system isn't just getting it in place. It takes a lot for somebody to create those pumps, and they don't just happen. It's not one you just pull off the shelf. I mean, so it's probably, what would you say, Jim? 12 to 15 weeks of preparation to get a pump like that. So
But this is not actually awarding a contract
No.
to an
This is
individual.
the project budget.
This is a project budget.
Yeah,
So
just to
we
get
would
the
have an
funds.
RFP then for bid and
Mhm.
still have a process for companies to bid on that.
Yeah, and we would come back down here and you guys would take low bid and go from there as well.
Best.
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 Okay.
Thank you.
Best bid.
Yeah. I'll move to approve the project budget.
I'll second. I think it's important that we do this. My main concern is we don't know the cost of the amenities going forward, and we don't know the funding source for those amenities. That's what we need to be working on now to find out where we're going to be.
It would take us a few weeks to pull all of that together, but we would be glad to pull all of the big options in and come down to you with one big thing, one big vision of what I see.
That's a great idea.
I think it's just, it's prudent to make sure that we're not making promises to the public or making sure that the public doesn't think that we're making promises that if we can't deliver on, we've broken that promise.
I understand.
It's very important to have that trust between the public and the governing body.
Exactly, very powerful.
So,
Very well put.
motion made by Commissioner Bueller, second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Our next item.
Item G, Facilities Maintenance, number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C390-2018 with Arment and Enterprises LLC for additional janitorial services Monday through Friday for all solid waste offices, areas, and restrooms located at the North Annex for an additional cost of $950 per month with funding from the Solid Waste Department.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bill Kroll, Facilities Maintenance Director. About a month ago, Danny Arment, the owner of Arment Custodial, Justin Pike and myself met to discuss some issues that Justin felt weren't getting serviced enough in the solid waste areas based upon our 2-day-a-week, which was our primary cleaning, and we added a third day on Wednesdays to get the restrooms and things. Justin still didn't feel like that was enough, and as we discussed it, Arment put things through for a $950 increase, which gets all the solid waste areas Monday through Friday, all 5 days a week, and cleans them, and Justin was willing to pay for that out of solid waste funds, the difference of that price.
And again, this is a revenue fund as opposed to taxpayers.
Yes, Solid Waste Department will be covering that extra expense of $950 per month.
Questions?
Well, we moved solid waste up to the second deck.
Their office areas, but all their staff on the trucks come into that lower level, and there's a lot of activity down on that lower level in their locker room, their shower rooms, and things like that that weren't getting cleaned.
And thus, that's the explanation?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'll move to approve.
I have a question.
Bueller, yeah.
Bill, how long is this, and what if you don't see improvement then, if you're going to every day?
Well, we'll see improvement, or Arment will no longer be doing it.
How long is this in effect, though? Does this amend their contract?
This amends their existing contract, which will be up in a couple of months, so we got a couple of months to see if they can get it improved to that level before we renew for another year with them going forward.
Yeah, because now we're up to $2,749 a month?
Yeah.
Correct?
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty hefty price.
At the North Annex, yeah.
Yeah, but that's just for that facility.
That's just for that facility.
Okay.
So we'll have a couple of months to see if they can get the job done before we would consider moving forward with another renewal with Arment.
Okay.
Motion made by Commissioner Archer.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Our next item.
Item J2, consider approval of request to change address of the Manor Conference Center from 1717 Southwest Topeka Boulevard to 1720 Southwest Western per request of the City of Topeka Fire Department to improve emergency response times for all first responders.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bill Kroll, Facilities Maintenance Director. We received a request from the City Fire Marshal's Office regarding the address at the Manor Conference Center. Currently, when an alarm goes in from the fire alarm system at Manor, the address that shows up at the 911 call center is 1720 or 1717 Southwest Topeka, which is actually the Capitol Plaza Hotel. So the first responders have been showing up to the lobby area of that building instead of Manor Conference Center. The feeling of the fire department was that if we could get that addressed to 1720 Southwest Western, that would direct the responders to Manor Conference Center, because it's more off of Western than it is, actually probably more off of 17th Street, but they felt Western address would be a cleaner address for that. The only expense that we would have involved in this would be some signage and some numbers to change the address on the sign to Manor that's out front to 1720 Western, and I anticipate about $250 to do that.
Questions regarding this item?
I'll move approval.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Our next item.
Item 5, Administrative Communications.
This is an opportunity for any department head or member of the public to address the commission on any item.
Morning, Commissioners. Dusty Nichols, Emergency Management. We had a little storm yesterday. You probably noticed that. I just wanted to give kudos to the National Weather Service. I know they're training some new people out there. I just wanted to say that they did a good job, especially to all of our partners as well. John Knight, Sean, Randy, Susan were on standby for us in case we needed some additional shelters. A lot of the team worked together well yesterday, and I just wanted to say thank you, and hopefully we don't have to do it again. So.
Thank you.
That'd be good.
Other?
Sean Osborne, Parks and Recreation. It is snowy out, so this is a great time to go and visit Winter Wonderland. They opened up at Thanksgiving night, and they'll be open every single night, except they were closed last night due to the weather. But usually after snow, they see a significant amount of people that want to come out and see the lights with the snow and that, so I just wanted to be aware.
Commissioners, I might add, since the topic is the storm, the 501 schools and a lot of the other area schools are out, but our community centers are open. If people are looking for, if kids don't risk it, don't try to drive to get there or anything, but if you can and walk, be safe. But our community centers are open for kids during the day today. Thanks.
Thank you. Kurt, can you give us an update from Public Works how we've addressed with the storm, with the snow removal, and where we stand?
Yeah, Kurt Niehaus, Director of Public Works and Solid Waste. They started working yesterday afternoon late, and roads are spotty with ice mainly, as you can imagine. Starting about 10 o'clock this morning, they were going to start treating some more and try to remove more of that snowpack off the roads. But they've been at it for quite a while now, so I think the roads are in pretty good shape, considering.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other? Commissioner Bueller, anything?
Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. Yeah, Randy's waving at me from the crowd, but I do want to say thank you to Mayor De La Isla and to Vince Fry. It was an honor to serve as the Grand Marshal. Had a lot of fun, saw a lot of familiar faces in the crowd, and so it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
so
it was a good honor.
Yeah.
Commissioner Archer, anything?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
On Thursday, it appears that I will not be able to attend the meeting. That may change, but at this time, I'm anticipating that I will not be able to attend the meeting on Thursday. So rather than cancel the meeting, I'll rely on my commissioners to persevere without me. Otherwise, I'll be here on Thursday.
All right.
Madam Clerk, our next item.
Item 6, Executive Session.
There is not a need for an executive session. We are adjourned.